Hey there, welcome to another episode of Instant Uplevel. Hey there, it's Christine Kane, and what we're doing here is this is where I take the questions that you've asked me and I coach you on them. I answer them and walk you through some of the elements of running your own business. And in fact, that brings me to today's question. It comes from Jessica, and Jessica wants to know about hiring a team because she went through a process where she hired somebody, and first thing that happened was she felt guilty, like that she was selling out for actually giving in and getting help. But the rest of her question goes like this. I'd love more posts on team building and hiring the right people to help. I want to foster a company where people love working for me and make it totally opposite from the world of teaching in the public education system from which I came. Okay, so first thing is if you create any space where people love working for you, it will probably be opposite of anyone's work experience from the world where they came. But let me start, Jessica, by addressing this issue of selling out. And when you hire somebody, feeling like you're cheating a little bit. And I think that's because a lot of us have a bit of an addiction to struggle. We kind of think, well, if I'm not working hard and really harming myself and burning myself out, then how dare I make money? How dare I do what I love and make it easy on myself? We have all kinds of conversations around struggle, and we live on the struggle bus. And I don't have a magic way to coach you out of this except to say if you don't hire people, then your business is only going to get as big as the number of hours you have. And I'm going to remind you, Jessica, that there are things that you were born to suck at. There's no other way to put it. You were just born not to be good at them. So if you stink at QuickBooks, don't run out and try to train yourself on every angle of QuickBooks. You weren't born to be a bookkeeper. Hire a bookkeeper. This is how we scale our businesses, and it's how ultimately we serve the world, because you free up your time to do the thing that changes the world in the way that only you can change it. So that one you just got to get over. No magic formula there. You just got to take action in spite of the fact that you feel a little awkward at first. And it's fine to feel awkward at first. Next, when it comes to hiring people, there's really three areas I want you to think about. So this is one of the biggest areas that I train people in when they have their own business. It's also one of the hardest things for us to learn how to do, because as entrepreneurs, we hire people we like. It's like, oh great, we had a great interview, I love them. She was Capricorn, I'm Capricorn. We loved each other, and it's going to be wonderful. And of course, surprise, surprise, 3 months down the line, we hate each other and it's not working because ultimately what we did was we hired ourselves. So I'm going to give you a little 3-step process around hiring that has been really, really helpful to me. There's a lot more to this, but for now, just consider this. Number 1, there's a pre-hiring process that I want you to go through. And this is where, for me, what I do is when I know I need a position, sometimes in this strange world we're in right now with so much online, offline, and the businesses taking so many different turns and curves, we don't always know exactly the position we need. So you might not have a title for it. So where you have to start is in the pre-hiring process. I want you to get 100% clear what you need the most help with. And so for some of you, if you're in startup, really and truly, some of it is just what are you spending your time doing that you absolutely don't like doing, and really taking up time doing stuff that could easily be hired out. But write it all down, write out exactly what this position would be. And make sure, the other thing would be is make sure you're not saying, okay, I want somebody to do my grocery shopping and create my marketing videos for me. We want to make sure that we're a little bit congruent here in terms of the position. So write it all out. And that process for me sometimes can take up to a week, where I spend time every single day getting very clear about this position. Second thing is the actual hiring process. And this is where most people go wrong. So we have all these books on management and leadership and trying to get our team to do the right thing. And really, we got to take a step back and say, did we go through the hiring process and get the exact right person for this particular position? So that hiring process, once you have the description of what this is, you need to write out a job description. clear with all of the bullet points that you already went through in your pre-hiring process. What does this job entail? And I want to also encourage you to include mindset. So every time I write a job ad, it includes that positive mindset and attitude are a huge piece of working at Uplevel U. So that's one key piece there I'm going to give you. The next part is interviews in that hiring process. A lot of times we get so connected to people that we like that we don't think in terms of how am I going to know that they're the best person for this job. So I'm going to encourage you to do behavioral-based interviews where you actually say to them, okay, so this job involved a lot of X, Y, and Z. Tell me about a time when you X, Y, and Z'd. And make them say to you what they have done, what experience they have had. Don't just look at it like, well, I'm lucky to even get anybody. Make them talk with you. Make them begin communicating, because that's going to bring me to my third piece of the hiring process, and that is your engagement factor with this person that you hired. Too many of us, we don't delegate, we abdicate. We do what is called drive-by delegating. It's like, okay, here, do all this stuff I hate, and then we walk away, and then we get bummed out that it never got done. So once you've hired someone, you have hired someone that you are now in relationship with, and what I'm going to encourage you to do is actually have a meeting every single week, a set time, and a defined guidelines to help you walk through this meeting and know exactly what you are aiming for in this meeting. And you also have to give this person key results areas. So this is called KRA, but the best way that I know how to describe this is, what does it look like when it's done and done well? You know, so each and every project they're doing, they need clear guidelines. You can't just turn your back and hope to God they get it and then end up disappointed with them someday. They need to know, what does it look like when it's done and what does it look like when it's done well. And it would also help them probably to let them know what drives you crazy, so that they actually get some guidelines in terms of, this is absolutely what I cannot tolerate and what I don't do well. I will also tell people certain things like that. When I have, for instance, a job that involves things that are not very, pretty, like my assistant scoops my cat litter and chops the vegetables, hopefully not in the same swoop, but she does a lot of little nitty-gritty things, and I was very clear up front that I knew that this job was a little bit more boring and tedious, and I had to make sure she loved that. But I stay in touch with her on that too, and I also let her know what drives me crazy, and she so appreciates it, because I do it proactively. I do it when we're in a meeting, not when I'm highly charged. In that way, our relationship, my assistant, for instance, has worked with me now for 2 years, and that relationship is awesome, and she loves her job, and she tells me all the time. So those are the 3 areas of hiring. There's a lot more to it, just so you know. I just finished a Platinum Mastermind meeting where I actually spent an entire session walking them through our entire hiring process. I gave them all the questions I ask my prospects. I gave them the whole testing that we do on each person, so that they understood this is not haphazard. This doesn't just sort of happen. Oh, good, I got a new employee. We're very intentional about it. I'm very deliberate about it, because my company, and I'm sure yours is too, is an amazing vision, and it's an amazing impact in the world, and you want it to grow with people who are congruent with your vision. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. If you have a question or if you have a comment, leave it in the space below, and talk to you soon.